All right, we're going to start this thing off.
Hey, I'm on a 10-year-old laptop.
That's not internet speed, John. Okay? It's a different thing.
Yeah, but this thing could just poop at any time.
All right, well, just try not to poop tonight. Okay?
Yeah, I'm
right.
good.
You need to put that in the front of the podcast right there, that little clip.
Welcome to Retro Logic. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins. And this week we've got Nick Metzger with us this week. I said this week twice because it's this week. He's from the Dad Crossing podcast, which I used to be on, which is now better because I'm not there. So that's that. And this week we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about Animal Crossing, the one on the Wii, that one, the City Folk one. And we've got a double dose of The Price is Retro. It's time for hard mode. Bow, bow, bow. Nick, how's it going, dude?
Oh, it is so good to be hearing your sultry, smooth voice, Dan. It really is. And it is not a better podcast without you. I would be remiss if I did not correct you. We miss you, nice. But we love what you're doing over here. Very excited for you and John. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Absolutely. I would not. You were my first thought when I thought of who I wanted to be a guest. It just took us 8 episodes to get here.
You were the first one I wanted on the 8th episode.
We had to find the right topic.
No, I totally get it. You did. You DM'd me quite a while ago, and I was like, I don't know, maybe this. I just farted some stuff out, and I'm sure you were like, I don't know what to do with that, so I'll come back to it.
Hey, as soon as Animal Crossing popped up, I knew exactly where to go. So, John, what have you been up to, man?
Not a whole lot. My elderly dog is had an abscessed tooth that I've been babysitting him for. He's been having a lot of fun being loopy on pain pills for the last 3 days. But
so
he's been hanging out with me quite a bit.
Dang, abscessed tooth sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but he's almost. He's fully recovered infection-wise. He just has to heal up because he's scratching his face a little bit. But yeah, he's good. He's 13-year-old corgi, and he toughed it out pretty well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Not
thoughts and prayers going out to your pup. Yeah. Well, we're about to bring it back up. So before we jump into all the things, I wanted to mention that Retro Logic is the official podcast of Block 4 Retro, the place to shop online for high quality, clean, authentic retro games. Visit block4retro.com to check us out. And this week, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for something pretty exciting. It's one of these fancy schmancy Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers devices.
I thought you were going to say
Nintendo
toilet paper.
Can't keep in stock. These are actually easier to find than toilet paper, so I thought, I don't want to go too crazy. My third giveaway. The giveaway will start on Wednesday. Just keep an eye on my Twitter, and it'll last a few days. So follow me at Block4Retro on Twitter, and there will be some things you have to do, some missions, if you will, in order to get an entry into the giveaway. And it'll last a couple days, and then we'll choose a winner and all that good stuff. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at Block4Retro to be part of that funness. And hopefully you can get yourself a nice little prize. And don't sell it. Please do not sell it. Keep it for yourself and play Mario Brothers on it, because that's why we do these things.
He's got a little thing on there that tracks it, so he knows if you're reselling it.
I know it. I do. I'll follow it. That's
one of the missions. Is it to go to Cold Stone Creamery? That's my question.
And buy me ice cream every day.
And send it to Texas.
Then you get one entry.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yep. Every time you buy me ice cream, it's one entry. That's good. So our icebreaker this week, we're going to talk about the games that we bought, games that we played. And Nick, since you are guest of honor, you get to go first. What did you buy and what did you play?
Oh, shucks. Thanks. I didn't buy a game. Well, I have bought some games too, but I bought something bigger than the game. I bought an entire console. The Xbox Series S. Actually, I bought it a while ago, but I got it last week, and I'm very excited for it. I have been a Nintendo-only boy since Xbox 360. I did not jump into the Xbox One, and so I thought it was time to get back in there. There were some games I wanted to play. Ironically, I will say this is the weirdest console launch ever. I'm sure COVID plays a part in this. I know Halo was a big plan for them and that got booted. But we get the console and it's like, there is absolutely no exclusives for this console. Like, it's the craziest thing in the world to me. There's nothing that's exclusive. That said, for me, everything is brand new, so that doesn't really bother me as much as it probably does somebody who already has a one.
Right.
So I've been playing some Jedi Fallen Order and stuff like that, and absolutely loving it, really.
Oh,
So
I want to play
got a
Jedi
half
Fallen Order
console.
so bad.
What'd you say, John?
I said you kind of got half of a console because you got the S, right?
Yeah, I got the S. Yep. Yeah, I went with the S because I didn't know how much. So having kids that are younger, especially Noah being really into games, I didn't want it out and about and him being interested in seeing. And I plan to play a lot of mature games on this. So I actually have hidden it in the basement so he doesn't even know it exists in the house. And so I thought, am I really going to have a ton of time to play it? So I didn't want to jump in on that expensive of a console.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so what have I been playing? I've been playing, we did an Extra Life event on Saturday to raise money for DeVos Children's Hospital here in Michigan for kiddos, and I thought I'd play something new, so I came out last week, Sakuna Rice and Ruin on the Nintendo Switch. It was, I think, a partner direct or something like that. They played a little bit of it in some direct, I don't know.
Yeah.
And, I've only played about 3 hours of it so far, and unfortunately, the verdict is still out. The combat, when you're in combat, it's like a 2D platformer, and let me tell you, that can be a lot of fun. It's right on the edge of button masher, but you have enough stuff you can do, and you have this little ribbon, like, on your warrior dress that acts as like a grappling hook, and you can flip enemies with it and flip around enemies. And if you can kind of start comboing that together, it feels really good, and it's a ton of fun to do. And then the other part of this is you go to your village or your little hut, and that actually is in a 3D mode, and you are growing rice, and you are like some type of goddess, a harvest goddess and a warrior goddess kind of mixed together. And so how you grow your rice apparently affects how you fight or the attributes you have, which I actually thought I'd really like the rice growing part, but I'm totally lost in the rice. And maybe that'll change.
Oh, man.
I'm only 3 hours in. Maybe that'll change. But at the moment, I have no idea what I'm doing with this rice. They're like, maybe you should lower the water in the rice paddy or put more water in. I'm like, I don't know. Sure, if that's what you want me to do. Like, why am I doing it? And so I'm like totally confused on that part. And that's kind of a bummer. But maybe it'll come around. But if it does, and I like it, I'll let you guys know. But just know you're going to have to put some time into it before it like levels out, if that's the case. Because right now I have no idea what I'm doing with this rice.
Yeah, I heard it had a whole lot more farming element to it than people were expecting, and not as much combat. So that kind of piqued my interest because I thought it was going to be the other way around, with the farming element being a lot less and the combat being a lot more.
Yeah, I just thought it was going to be more like simple farming. I mean, this is more like, I don't want to say legit farming because that's probably not true. But I mean, it's not like Harvest Moon farming where you're like, throw it in the ground and then throw some water on it. And as long as you water it every day, it'll grow. Like, they're like, you got to raise the water in the summer and put water in the winter and do this and do that. And it's just not, yeah. So there's a lot more to it than I thought. And that may end up really being great, but they don't like explain it all right out of the gate if that's the case. And so right now I am just in my first crop. So maybe after I get one under my belt, it'll start making more sense. But right now I'm just kind of like, I have no idea what I'm doing in this rice paddy.
Nick's going to
just listen to whatever anybody tells
Nick's
me.
going to go to the library and check out a book on how to grow rice. He's like, I got to master this.
Right?
The most realistic rice. It should have been called Rice Simulator.
Yes.
Hey, it's a rice and ruin, man. It's all about the rice.
Yeah.
Sakuna of a lot of rice and a little bit of ruin.
Yeah, exactly.
Rice is first.
Should have balanced that ruin more. All right, John, what have you been up to?
So I also purchased the Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers, and I actually sat down and played both Super Mario Brothers and Ball for quite a while one day after I got it. I was like, I gotta really check this thing out. I like the construction. It feels good. The only thing I don't really care for is I wish I had NES style buttons instead of the squishy Game & Watch style buttons. Like there's just something about A and B with Mario, and it's squishy like a calculator button, like rubbery. And I don't know. It doesn't feel right, but it's still enjoyable. I mean, I beat Mario pretty quickly on it, and then I got very bored with ball very quickly as well because it's pretty simple. Yeah. The only thing that's going to beat you is time playing. Like you're just going to get tired of juggling the ball, or 2 or 3, whichever game you choose. And I also picked up Wario Blast on Game Boy because I heard Marty on the Nintendo Dads talk about this game. I totally forgot about it, and I had a friend that had this game, and I remember playing it. And as soon as he mentioned it, I was like, man, I totally like this one. Went into the archives. I totally forgot about it. Didn't even know it was a thing anymore. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go look on eBay real quick, see what I can dig up, and it was like $10 or $12. So I was like, yeah, I'll snag that and play that again when it gets here. It hasn't made it yet, so I can't really go into detail on the gameplay. But
I was gonna ask you what it is, but okay, cool.
Well, we'll
hear about it next week.
A Bomberman style game, but it has Wario in it. It even has Bomberman. Cool. It has Bomberman in it as like a guest in the game. But yeah, it's definitely something neat that is unique. And as far as what I played, other than Super Mario Brothers and Ball, I actually did fire up Hades and played quite a bit of Hades.
Yes,
I think I've put at least 5 or 6 hours in it this week. That's on top of a bunch of.
How many runs have you done?
I think I've done 10, and I've made it to Hades, but I haven't beat Hades yet. Actually, my least favorite weapon so far was the shield, and I made it the farthest just because of the boons that I got. Made me overpowered for how early I was in the game.
Oh yeah,
but
that's
I
the
really
thing with
like
that
the
game.
bow.
That like there were weapons. I don't know if you've unlocked the bow yet.
Yep, that was my favorite.
I hated the bow. I was like, no, I want to move around, and you're stationary while you're shooting. Like this makes no sense. But you get enough boons, and you're like, okay, now I'm freaking murdering everybody. So this is my new favorite weapon.
You have to master the charge attack, like not the dash attack, timing. Because you can dash and shoot at the same time. So once you get once you get that down and developed, it becomes pretty good. That's why it was my favorite. But yeah, the game.
So you're liking it?
Yeah, the game is awesome. I first kind of got into it, and it's a little overwhelming with all the different ways to gain abilities through boons and artifacts and just different things here and there, and also learning what the symbols on the doors mean when you go into the next rooms or the next chambers. Figuring out the symbols for the different gods and goddesses, and then figuring out if it's going to be a room that gives you more health, or if it gives you money, or different things. There's quite a learning curve to it at the beginning. Like the first run I played, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I was just chopping guys down with the sword and having fun. And then I got to an area that I didn't have like hardly any boons and any good ones anyway. So I got mowed down pretty quick. And then I was like, well, I need to like kind of look and see what all the symbols are for all the boons, so that I know before I go into a room if it's something I want or not.
Right. Yeah. Like which god it
fun.
is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've definitely been.
I'm really glad you got it finally.
Having a lot of fun. Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite games of this year. I mean, golly, that game's so much fun. First from the get-go, just the way they develop the combat just makes it so addicting, just from the onset. Just like your first 5 seconds with the game, you're like, oh, this feels great, They really nailed that wow factor.
It's definitely going to be on my list of things I go back to. Like I'll probably make it one of those games where in between things I hop in and play a few runs. But yeah,
totally.
It's fun.
How long does a run take? I've not played it.
It depends. It could take
varies.
Yeah, 20 minutes to. I think my longest run so far took me almost an hour, and that was with the bow. So
yeah,
With the bow, you're
about
definitely
an
a lot
hour.
slower.
About an hour is probably about as long as you're gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like maximum hour. But I mean, you could go in for a specific purpose and be like, I need to get this many like dark drops or whatever, and so you'll go in and get 20, and then you'll die, and then or whatever, you know.
You can exit.
It just kind of depends. Yeah, I mean, you could die in the first couple rooms.
Yeah.
Just
the first time you play, you probably will die within like the first probably 5 chambers or so, which will only be about 10 or 15
first 5
minutes.
or 6 runs. Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised with the shield. That was my 7th run and I made it to Hades. I really didn't expect to. Like I said, I just got a really good roll on boons for that run, and that wasn't even my longest run. I think I did that one in like it was probably 30 minutes. 30, 40 minutes, made it to Hades, got like halfway through him and then died. And then, like I said, the longest one was with the bow, and I didn't even make it to the 3rd boss.
Right.
But the bow takes longer. You got to be more like snipering people out and drawing people towards you, and different weapons create different gameplay, which is pretty awesome as well. You never play the same run
totally
twice.
Different. Love it. We have talked a lot of Hades on this podcast, so we are going to move on. But I do want to hear more about how your runs are going and everything.
Yeah.
Next week, after you get more addicted to it. So this week, what I did was I picked up. Actually, Google gave me for free Stadia Premiere. So they gave me a controller and a Chromecast. To play Stadia, and I had zero interest in Stadia, but I figured, hey, they were only giving it away to YouTube premium members or something, which I am because I hate ads. So I got it and had low expectations, but I was like, you know what? They're giving it away. I'll give it a try. And my previous experience with cloud gaming was trying to play Control on the Switch, which did not go well. But for some reason, Stadia just kind of clicked. Like the game fired up in less than a minute. I had set up my controller. I had opened the web browser, and Panzer Dragoon Remake was playing. When that's also my game that I played this week was the Panzer Dragoon Remake. And it was really, really great. I mean, the graphics looked really good, and it has this kind of like dynamic graphic thing that happens when latency gets low temporarily. But I never experienced a control lag, which is really kind of a killer if you're doing cloud gaming, is you can't have any controller lag, which is like a big obstacle. But it seems like they nailed that. Every once in a while, the game would freeze because of latency, and it'll say like, buffering, and then it'll come right back to where I was with no break in controls. That's probably the best way to handle something like that, because if you experience like a lot of dropped frames and you find it difficult to control your character at a pivotal moment, that could be really detrimental to your enjoyment of the game. So they kind of nailed how to handle that by just freezing everything and then letting you know when you're going to come back. And it never lasted more than 5 seconds. And it probably happened like twice in an hour play session. So, it's been a great experience. And considering I paid $0 for the platform, I mean, it's awesome. It's so good that I am seriously considering picking up Cyberpunk on Stadia for $60, which is totally outside of the norm for me because I'm such a proponent for physical. Like all my $60 Switch games are physical. I'm a collector. I want things on my shelf. But a game like Cyberpunk, where it's like, yeah, I'm probably gonna pour a bunch of hours in this game, and then who knows? I'm not gonna care about keeping the box. It's not a Nintendo thing. It's not like a retro game, so
going to the dark side.
Well, I feel I'm not completely. I'm not going to start emulating all my games because I still want to collect retro. But it is cool that it works so well, and I'm really impressed. So if I continue to have a good experience, I'm going to consider picking up Cyberpunk. As far as Panzer Dragoon Remake goes, I don't know if any of y'all have played Panzer Dragoon, not the RPG, but the on-rails shooter. It's the closest thing I can compare it to is something like Star Fox, where it's all on rails and you're shooting in a direction and you have like a lock-on missile thing. And that speaks right to my heart because I'm such a huge Star Fox fan. But this game is easier because in Star Fox, you're required to do a lot more all-range mode stuff and dodging with your flying. Yeah, barrel rolls and like tilting left and right and you go and you know what I mean, and boosting and braking. And there isn't any of that in Panzer Dragoon. You control where you're flying and you shoot, and that's it. It's a little easier.
Didn't they add a deal where you can turn left or right the camera to shoot things that are on the side?
That is what's different. Yeah, that's what's different about Panzer Dragoon is that it's not just going forward. There's stuff that happens to the right and left and behind you. And so the L and R buttons control the camera and it shifts left, then it shifts back, then it shifts right. And I thought that would get really annoying, but they do a really good job of not overwhelming you to the point where like you feel like you can't, like there's too much going on. They'll like only send things to two directions at any one time at the most. Yeah. So you can sort of gauge which way to go and how to handle it. But I'm having a blast. Yeah. And if you're a fan of Star Fox, I totally highly recommend Panzer Dragoon. It feels like Star Fox with some different twists pulled in there. And less like crazy action and more like methodical, like, okay, I got to solve some puzzles here kind of thing, especially with the boss battles. So I think this was originally a Saturn game.
Saturn. And then it got ported to Dreamcast.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's impressive.
I'm pretty sure. Either that or it was a sequel. I can't remember. Because I remember I played it on Dreamcast. No.
You're talking about Panzer Dragoon Orta on the Xbox, I think. Right?
We'll have to verify. I'm pretty sure though there's one on the Dreamcast.
Yeah. I hope that they do. I hope that they give the sequel this treatment because the visuals look really great. It plays great, and again, highly recommend it if you're a Star Fox fan.
Another cool thing about this was the original on Saturn is a very pricey game, so the remake gives you a way to play this game for $20.
Oh yeah.
So definitely worth it.
I'm hoping they can find a way to port Panzer Dragoon Saga over, which is the RPG. Because there is no way to play that right now other than spending $500 to $1,000 on the discs. So yeah, that would be great. But anyway, that is my bought and played. That is so we're gonna do just a quick John, we're gonna do a quick dip into how crossplay is going, because this is gonna last for the rest of the month, so we don't have to do too much of a deep dive. But just real quick, how is Shadows of the Empire for the first time in 2020?
So I decided that I'm gonna try to stream this game every week as far as I can get into it. And I played the first maybe 3 chapters. I'm not exactly sure how they split it up. It's in like different increments. Right. But I made it through Hoth, and I escaped from Hoth on the ship, which kind of looks like a small Millennium Falcon, but a little more oddly shaped.
Slave 2. I think it's called the Slave 2.
Is it Slave 2? Of course it is, because
because Boba Fett had the Slave 1.
Slave 1, yeah. But anyway, as far as the gameplay goes, the controls seem pretty solid still. I mean, and I'm playing it on original hardware because I don't think there's any other way to play it right now. But yeah, it's the flight mechanics have been very varied, which I like. It's not the same thing every time. Like I played the Hoth mission, which is just basically kind of like Rogue Squadron. And then I played a mission where I'm in Slave 2, if that's what it's called. and you're in space and you have to shoot down all the TIE fighters, and you have like a 360-degree view, and you're in the gun on the bottom of the ship. And so that was pretty neat also. I will say that I had to play
his ship is called the Outrider. Sorry.
Go ahead. Outrider. Okay, definitely not Slave 2.
I don't know where I got whatever. Yeah. I thought it was the Slave 1. I thought it was whatever. I don't know where I got that.
But as far as the gameplay goes, it still feels pretty solid. It's not as janky as I thought it was going to be going into it.
Really?
Graphics are where it really takes a dump. Like it's very hard to tell like what you're shooting at, and a lot of times the enemies, the wampas that are in the cave when you're trying to escape Hoth, they just look like white blobs. They almost look like a ghost with its hands up. It's like kind of coming at you like this. And so it was, like I said, the gameplay is fine. I'm not having a whole lot of troubles with that. It's the graphics. But I'm still having a lot of fun. And like I said, I'll continue to try to stream as much of the game as I can get through in a month. And I'll post it in Discord again. And hopefully I'd like to get a schedule developed for crossplay to where I can stream all the games that we end up playing. Now you just need to get something pinpointed in and maybe get some feedback on what a good time for everyone is if they want to join in.
And you're super dat fast on Twitch, right?
Correct.
All right, so go follow datfast, super datfast, my buddy John here on Twitch, and watch him. I'm just waiting for when you start losing your mind, because this game gets very frustrating very quickly. So
I haven't made it very far. Like I said, I think I'm like, I just did the mission where you're shooting the stuff in space from the. I'm horrible with names. So yeah, I've just to that point. I just finished that mission, and I think I'm on a junk planet that's looks like a desert area, but it's not Tatooine. I don't think.
That's a fun level. Nick, have you played Shadows of the Empire?
I don't believe I actually pulled it up here just to like get a feel, get a couple pictures of it. I don't believe that I have. The first real Star Wars game I played was on the GameCube, where you were the Jedi. I can't think of
Jedi
what that
Outcast,
was called.
Or Jedi Outcast?
Yeah, probably, yeah. And I really loved that game. I don't think I've played this. Well, that's not true. The first game I ever played was the re-released game that came to the Switch just recently, the Pod Racer game. That was actually the first Star Wars game I ever played. So,
good.
So yeah, but this one doesn't look familiar.
Yeah, the graphics are terrible, but yeah.
Yeah, they look that.
So my crossplay game is Star Tropics. Never played it. I am in chapter 3. I think it's chapter 3. I just saved the baby dolphin, and now my submarine is broken, and I'm stuck on this island where I have to save this girl who's asleep, go up to this mountain, stuff like that. I really like this game. This is a really solid NES game. I mean, there are a lot of really trash RPGs on the NES that just are super obtuse, and if you don't have a manual or a strategy guide, there's no way you're getting through this. I've only had to look up one puzzle so far. And really it was something stupid like I didn't know that you could jump on blocks to unlock switches. So like I was running around this room like, what the heck do I do? I literally had to go through a walkthrough because I was like, what am I doing wrong? Holy crap. And it was something stupid like that. Ever since then, it's been fairly, not easy, but just like, okay, I know what my next step is every step of the way, which is really refreshing for a game from this era. The music is great. I missed out on this game because the music is fantastic, and I wish I had nostalgia for this music. It's so good. I'm gonna play a track for it from it here. Also, I think it was built on the Zelda 2 engine. Am I correct in that? Because I've heard people say like, oh, it's built on the Zelda engine. But it doesn't play like The Legend of Zelda. It plays like Zelda 2 because the top-down view is very Dragon Warrior. Like, very, very Dragon Warrior. Just everything's in a grid, and it's a very clear grid. And even the mountains and some of the fauna look exactly the same. And then you go into the cave, and it is top down, but you're like a 2-block tall sprite, and your combat is very Zelda 2-ish. So yeah. And then the other thing, the only artwork that I like have in my memory from this game as a kid is the like skeleton ostrich thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was playing the game and I'm like, that's weird. Like, I don't know where this memory comes from, but where's the skeleton ostrich? And then I came across them and they're terrifying. They run after you, and oh my God. And in that dungeon, you only have the little boomerang thing and your yo-yo. Like there's no heavy hitter like the baseball bat. So like it's just total chaos when in those rooms. So I mean, once you get a handle on how the game moves, because it's very different from a lot of other top-down games, like it's solid. I really, really like Star Tropics. I can't wait to beat it. I mean, I don't know how many chapters there are, but I'm about to start chapter 3, and I just want to keep playing. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember how many they are, but it's a pretty decently long game. You'll have some fun with it, I'm sure. Playing with a guide makes it a lot quicker. So I've decided I'm only gonna use a walkthrough when I get stuck. There you go.
You know what I mean? I want to try to figure stuff out on my own first to get like the true experience. And I might not beat it by the end of the month, but I feel like I've gotten a pretty good handle on it now, so I should be able to get further and further. So we'll see. Yeah, but so far, really, really good. Nick, what about your thoughts on Star Tropics? You were giving me a nod earlier.
I remember this game. I played this game. I don't think I made it very far. I think I was pretty young when I played it, and I remember being stuck in a field somewhere, couldn't figure out what to do. I don't know, I have this vague memory of it. I was going to ask you until you said yo-yo. I was going to be like, is this the yo-yo game? Because that was like in my memory. I've said this a million times. I have a horrible memory when it comes to games.
Right.
Like I play them, and I just don't, like, I can't really. But I remember
Nick,
playing this game.
Let's be clear. The only reaon you're on this podcast is to talk about Animal Crossing, so let's not.
That's right. Shut up and wait for your time, Nick. No, but you are totally right. When you look at this, it like this over map where you got the mountains that they just kind of like cut and pasted in many places to make like a mountain range. It does look like a cross between Zelda and Dragon Warrior. Like it really like the overworld map does, or where you're walking around. I just Googled some images of it because I couldn't really remember. And but yeah, I do remember playing it, but vaguely.
Awesome.
Kudos to you for taking this on. Is this a NES game? This is out, right? Like NES Online game?
Yeah. I'm really glad it's on that, because it makes it a lot easier for me to just pick it up whenever instead of having to like go into my garage and fire up the NES, So
yeah.
So that is our updates on Crossplay. We're going to continue to give you updates as we play. I've been dropping screenshots and videos on my Twitter, and then John's going to stream it, so you can just keep us updated. If you're playing along with us, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. You can @ me on Twitter, or you can send us an email to retrologicgc@gmail.com. Guys, let's play some The Price is Retro. All right, so for this round of Price is Retro, we're doing 2 rounds. 2 rounds. We're going to do a regular round so that we get our feet wet, we remember how to play, and then we're going to do a spicy round. We're going to do a hard mode, which I don't even know what that means, but we're going to find out.
Is it spicy like the Pikmin 3 spicy?
Yes, it's the extra spicy mode or whatever, yes. I've also got Pikmin 3 on the brain because I'm still trying to bust through that before Age of Calamity comes out. But that's not what we're talking about. So, just to refresh everyone, The Price is Retro. We each chose 4 games and we know the prices, but the other two don't. And I'm gonna list off my games, and the other two have, and Nick and John have to guess what the lot is worth in dollars based on pricecharting.com's current value. And then we see who's the closest. And John is doing an amazing job keeping score for us. So, Nick, since you are our guest, you get to list off your first 4 games, not your hard mode games, just your first. Well,
why don't you go first? Because I screwed up the homework and didn't pay attention that we're playing 2 rounds.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Since you don't have a list for hard mode.
No, I have a hard mode. Well, I think I do. I don't know. You guys would probably know these games like I don't know.
You'd be surprised. We've had some stumpers.
I will have an easy mode by the time you come back around to me.
Okay, so you have to pay attention.
Yeah, you have to pay attention.
Because you have to
pay attention. Don't you worry.
All right.
Don't you worry about me.
You got your pen in hand, so you look ready.
That's right.
Okay, I'll list my games first then for easy mode. So
okay.
These, I think you'll figure out the theme with these games as I read them off. So my first game is Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo, loose cartridge. Pretty simple. My second game is Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii, complete in box. My fourth game is Metroid 2 Samus Returns for the Game Boy, loose cartridge. And my fourth game is Metroid Samus Returns for the 3DS, complete in box. So, whenever you guys have your guesses, go ahead and throw them at me.
I think I'm ready. So I'm going to say...
What you got, John?
I'm going to say $85.
Okay.
I was going to go 110, so I'm doing that.
110. All right. My total is $97.05. So if I'm doing math in my head, I think Nick just won that one.
Hold on, $97?
Well, of course it did.
$97.05. You guessed 85 and Nick guessed 110. So plug those numbers in.
That's what I'm doing now.
And then go ahead and list off your list there, John.
So first round. Oops, hold on a second. Okay, hold on. First 110. Okay, so my guess at 85 gave us... Or wait a minute, we need to do everybody's. We need to do them all together, and then we do the total, remember?
Right.
So if we want to... we need to get everybody's in first, and then we'll do the total. So
okay,
I'll do my games.
So John, go ahead and do your games. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my games are Dragoon for the SNES, loose. Snowboard Kids for the N64, also loose. And then Pandora's Tower for the Wii, complete. And then Yonoid for the NES, loose.
Okay. I have my number.
Good. I'm gonna you go. Sorry, go again.
I'm gonna go 120 on this one.
120.
I am just gonna shoot for $100 because I have no idea on this one. I had an idea on Dan's. I have no idea on this one.
All right, so hold on. Dan said 120. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? And
yes.
Then what did you said, an even 100, Nick?
Even 100, yeah.
Even 100.
A Benjamin, as it's known.
So my total lot value is $158.
Oh, dude. Whoo. I knew it was high, but
Okay, so what I did for the I had to make up a mode. I just did Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 separate. Oh, by the way, I did CIB. That means it comes in box. Is that what that stands for?
So much harder on the cartridge games. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it's fine.
Do it.
Good for you. Well, see, it should be difficult for you guys. You're the professionals.
Jeez.
Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And then Donkey Kong Country 64.
In
CIB.
All these complete in box.
All these are CIB. Yeah, I wouldn't do that too.
Geez.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. I'm just gonna go 200 even.
I will do 240.
298.81.
Oh my gosh.
So 299 will round on this.
I'm always
Good for
under.
you guys. I would have never thought it would have been that much.
Dan said
Never in a million
200
years.
and I said 240.
I bet Donkey Kong 64 complete with the expansion pack is pretty pricey. I bet that one's up there. I bet it's way more than I thought it was.
Okay, so
Completed box stuff is crazy for cartridges.
so
Okay, so this is round one.
We're gonna have to go 2 rounds to get a winner because so far me and Nick are tied.
What?
Somehow.
Oh my god.
So right now
Blind squirrels,
odds?
Dan. Blind squirrels get acorns. It's true.
the difference we have so far, Dan is at 137. I'm at 71 and Nick is at 71. And we can go through
That's
the lots
ridiculous.
and prices really quick if you want.
Yeah, let's just do that real quick. We'll go in order. So I'll go first. Donkey Kong Country Loose is 17. Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii is 15. I'm rounding these, by the way. Metroid Samus Returns Loose for the Game Boy is 20. And Samus Returns Special Edition for the 3DS is 45.
Nice. I'll go next. Lagoon for the SNES Loose is $11.
I thought that was way higher.
You would think, but it's one of the lower valued RPGs on the Super Nintendo.
Weird.
Snowboard Kids N64 Loose is $59 right now.
Dang.
Pandora's Tower for the Wii complete is $75.
Yeah, I knew that one was crazy.
Yo-Noid for the NES Loose is $13.
Yo-Noid is more expensive than Lagoon?
Yeah.
Give me a freaking break.
All right, and Nick can give us
I'm
a
not gonna lie.
rundown of his.
Yo-Noid is the only one that I was like, oh yeah, okay, I've played this. I know what Yo-Noid is. The other two, I was like, I have no idea what these games. I've never played them. Never even heard of them. No offense to these games. Sure, they're great. Okay, so Donkey Kong Country 1 in box. No, so they're all CIBs. Donkey Kong Country 1, $54.49.
Okay.
Donkey Kong Country 2, $65. Here's the kicker. Donkey Kong Country 3, $123
That's the one that got me.
and then Donkey Kong Country 64, Donkey Kong 64 goes back down to $55.38.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking
So
60
Donkey
for
Country
all
3.
of these, but man, that 3 threw me off.
Man,
Yeah,
I should have known
yeah.
that too, because that game did not sell very well.
Well, yeah, it's very limited in its production compared to the other two.
It's
Well,
yeah,
it also
so-
came out so late in the Super Nintendo life that, N64 was already around and everybody was playing Mario 64. We talked about this earlier with other late bloomers on the SNES.
Crazy, man.
So yeah, that was
Crazy.
shocker to me.
All right, so for round 2, I also have updated the sheet to do 2 rounds, and it will also give us our total difference for the 2 rounds. So we'll figure out who's the winner after both rounds. It'll calculate everything. So
Okay, great. All right. John, why
this
don't you
time
go
Nick can
first
go
this time?
well, I was going to say, why don't you have Nick
Yeah,
go
I'm
first?
gonna-
He's a guest.
I'm good. I did have one. Yeah. So this is what I consider hard mode. Maniac Mansion, and this is CIB too, just to make it more difficult for you. Maniac Mansion, one of my all-time favorites.
What system?
John, you
Wait,
actually NES. That was NES.
Okay.
Nintendo. John, you actually have a heads up here if you remember. I didn't think about this until we started to podcast. PTO 2 for the Super Nintendo. SimCity for the Super Nintendo. Not 2000, the first one. Toy Commander for the Sega Dreamcast.
And these are all CIB, you said?
All CIBs,
okay.
Yep.
So...
And Dan, just so you know, John has a leg up because we talked about PTO2 in a
I have
table.
never in my life heard of PTO2, so just whatever. Never mind. I
didn't
literally
think I heard.
All I hear is paid time off. Like, what are you talking about?
Paid time
Pacific
off.
Theater of Operations 2.
Yeah, I
don't know what that is.
It's a turn-based style World War II game that I absolutely loved in high school. I mean, I played that game a ridiculous amount.
Okay, I have my number, I guess.
I told you it was hard.
Hold on, can you go through the list one more time? I want to double check.
Sure. Maniac Mansion for the NES. PTO 2 for the Super NES. SimCity for the Super Nintendo. Toy Commander for Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, I'm going to go $180.
I'm going to go $160.
$129.43.
Golleesh.
All right, so hold on a second.
What the hell is
129?
PTO? Now I'm looking it up.
I told you, it's Pacific Theater of Operations 2. It's a World War II turn-based
I know you
game.
said that, Nick. That does not mean anything to me. I have never in my life seen this dang frickin' cartridge.
I absolutely love this game. I mean, you do not want to know how much time I played trying to beat different scenarios as different countries. I
didn't think that I'd played this game, and then I looked it up for Nick when we were on the podcast, a different podcast, because he didn't think he could get a hold of it very easily. And I was like, hey, I found a copy on eBay. And then I looked at the gameplay and I was like, I played this game. I totally forgot.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
All right.
Yeah.
Y'all scheming behind my back, I see. I get it.
He probably didn't think about it until
he almost made me buy a Super Nintendo, like legit. But I was like, I don't have the TV for it. I don't have anything for it.
You could probably plug it.
I'd have to go all in.
You could probably plug it into your old ass TV. That's what you got RCA back there. Maybe. Probably. All right. Okay, John. What are your hard mode games? Let's do this.
All right. So my hard mode games are Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo, loose. DuckTales Remastered for the Wii U, complete. Odama for the GameCube, complete. And Rocket Knight Adventures for the Sega Genesis, complete.
Okay. I got my number.
Oh. This one's it's almost harder when I know the games, because then I'm like, well, but maybe it's like this, or maybe it's like
I didn't like this game. This isn't worth very much. I'm gonna say 140.
Okay.
The Rocket Knight's the one I have no idea what that game really is. Yeah, we would have been really close, because I was gonna go 50, 30, 30, 30. Actually, we'd have been right on. You said 140. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go 120.
All right. So the actual total value of my lot was $230.
Oh,
whoa!
Shoot!
All right, I was way off on something. I know those games
and
too.
We'll give the breakdown whenever we finish up.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I got some big boys for you. Let's go. Saturn Bomberman for the Sega Saturn, loose.
Okay.
Ribbit King for the GameCube, complete.
Oh, jeez. You're gonna have some
Power Stone
high up values here.
Power Stone 2 for the Dreamcast, complete. And Pokemon Emerald for the Game Boy Advance, loose cartridge.
All right. So
can't do that.
Saturn
Saturn
Bomberman's loose, right?
That one's loose. That's a very important detail.
That is very important.
Absolutely no idea. I'm just gonna give it a guess here at 160.
I'm gonna go 400.
Sorry, just the discrepancy there is hilarious. So the total is $492.29.
Well done, John. Well done.
I think John won.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the score
still...
needs to be. We need to separate these two scores though. We can't combine them because that's like too. Yeah, that's too much.
Hold on, what'd you say? 120, Nick?
Yeah.
No, I said 160. I said 120 for Dan's.
Oh, okay.
Give me my $40, man.
I'll give
take
you your 40
yeah,
bucks. Right. Okay. So yeah, the total difference between Dan's guesses are 141 for this round. My total difference was 123, and then Nick's total difference was $442.
Yeah, baby.
Nick, it's like golf. You're supposed to get the lowest score.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So what the hey is so much money in this gig? That's what I want to know.
Okay, so
all right, so let's do a breakdown real quick.
Yeah, John, you go first. We'll go in order. So John, you go first.
Okay, so my first game was Harvest Moon for the Super Nintendo loose, and this game is valued at $134 loose.
That's where it was.
That's the big one.
Yeah,
DuckTales Remastered for the Wii U Complete is $22. Odama for the GameCube Complete, $14.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew that was the tricky one. I knew it's worthless. I freaking knew it. It's one of those games that I remember seeing on the shelves at stores because it was so late in the GameCube life cycle. Yeah. And I just remember seeing it sit there. It just sat there. Nobody I
bought
like it. It's a fun one.
And then the last game for me was Rocket Knight Adventures on the Genesis Complete. This is a $60 game right now.
Yep.
Which is
Rocket Knight
crazy.
Adventures is a really, really good game.
It is. It's one of my favorite Genesis games.
Konami needs to bring that back.
Yes.
Y'all, this just makes me sad because I'm like, oh, I had that game. Think of all the money. I don't even know what I think I probably gave it to GameStop for $5 more than likely.
That's what this podcast does to you.
Yeah, sorry. Right? We try to not be depressed about it. Okay, so Nick, go ahead and do your list.
So Maniac Mansion, these are all CIBs. Maniac Mansion for the NES is $56. Pacific Theater of Operations 2 is $27. SimCity is $29. And Toy Commander is a $15 game.
I gotta get Toy Commander and the Dreamcast. That game's so good.
That game is amazing.
Yeah.
In college, I just played that game and played that game and played that game, man.
Yeah. All right, so I'll do mine. I gotta just really quick.
I gotta do my my list because mine was big money.
Yeah, I forgot.
Let's do my list. Yeah,
let's do your list. I forgot.
Okay, Saturn Bomberman loose is $181.
That's where I went wrong.
Complete in box is a $500 game.
Yeah,
like easy. Yeah. Ribbit King for the GameCube complete $133. Power Stone 2 for the Dreamcast complete is $117, and then Pokemon Emerald loose is $59.97.
I undershot your first game by quite a bit, but I made up for it by overshooting the other three by quite a bit.
That's just how this game goes.
Yeah, it is.
Try to end up somewhere in the middle.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So the total, I'm doing the doubles total here just for reference on the winner of the game. Since we tied, we had to do a doubles total on this for sure. Dan was at 278. I was at 194, and Nick was at 513 for total difference on both rounds.
All right,
better
so
believe it.
Me
well done,
winner
John.
For the 2 in a row now. That was a hard battle fought though. There was a lot of craziness there.
Wait, hold on. Who won?
The blind squirrel couldn't get 2 acorns in a row. You know, I mean, it's just how it works.
True.
I had the lowest.
Did you win or did I win?
I did.
That's right. You won. Yeah.
Yep. You had 278.
All right. I'll get you next time. Yeah.
That last one you threw out just really demolished him.
Right now, I think Nick is the most discrepancy we've ever had on the show, which is an honor.
Yes,
really.
I was just about to ask that if I held the record. Cool. You read my mind, Dan. I was like, so does this mean?
Yeah, you're the record holder.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm the worst player there's ever been for Price is Retro.
If it wasn't for that last round, because I mean, you tied me on the first round, and we both had Dan by quite a bit. So I was kind of wondering. Yeah. I was like, what number is he going to throw out for this last one? And then when you said 120, I was like, I think I got this. Because I knew Ruby King was worth at least 120 by itself. Just because Dan won't shut up about it.
It's my pride and joy. Give me a break. Yeah.
Yeah. I never heard of Ribbit King until Dan told me about it. I'm not going to lie.
I'm spreading the gospel, guys. It's my life. It's my life's journey.
You are spreading it.
Well, that was awesome. We are going to jump into this day in gaming and get to the reason why Nick is here finally. So, November 16th, 2020 is the year, and 12 years ago today, in 2000 and... I don't have those years written down. 2008, I had to do some quick math. Animal Crossing City Folk for the Nintendo Wii dropped on us. And as much of an Animal Crossing fan as I am, this is the one game that I totally missed. I think, John, you're the same, right?
It's not the one game that I missed. I'm actually I only played the GameCube version until New Horizon. So I kind of went dormant on, yeah, for sure. And then New Horizon came around and I was like, 200 hours, yeah. Yeah. Which...
Nice. You put some time into that, huh?
You beat me.
I put it all in really fast too, because I know we were all doing pretty steady there on the Discord, and I just fell off after like 2 months. But I put all my time in 2 months.
That's awesome. Yeah. So City Folk. So I'm the one, huh? I'm the only one that played it.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. Yeah, I loved it. It was... So I played GameCube when I was in college. I played the GameCube Animal Crossing when I was in college. And then Wild World came out on the GBA, I believe. And I almost bought it. And then I found out, there doesn't have holidays. And it didn't have a lot of stuff that I love about Animal Crossing. And so I was like, I'm okay without this. And then when City Folk came out, I was over the moon. It'd been a long time since I played one, since the GameCube, and I was like, I'm in. And so I picked it up, and yeah, I loved it. I loved it because it's just Animal Crossing, and obviously that's like my passion. I wasn't over the moon for the City Folk aspect. I mean, you take a bus, you hop on a bus with Porter scooch you over to the city, and then you're in this little area, this little shop where you can meet Kix and Sahara. No, yep. What was the giraffe's name? I can't think of the giraffe's name anymore. It's not there. Anyways,
what did the giraffe do?
You had to shine her car in the first one, and she would give you clothes, I want to say? Or was it fancy furniture? Maybe it was fancy furniture. Anyways, there were all kinds of... A lot of the people you see on your island or in your village were in this city. And it was fun. It was okay, but it wasn't how I would have preferred it. I would have really rather preferred just like an updated version of Animal Crossing, like I had it on the GameCube, like we have it now, even where you're not just like all these people are on a different island or in a different area. You still had people come and visit you from time to time. There was Katrina, I believe her name is it Katrina? That was the fortune teller. Mm-hmm. She would come to your island. There are still people who came to your island to visit you, but not like we have it now, where you have like one a day every day. So yeah, but I enjoyed it. I put a ton of time into it. In fact, when we started Dad Crossing, I went back to my Wii because I had moved everything from my Wii over to my Wii U. I had a stack of Wiis.
Yeah.
My mom's, mine, and I think one of my friends. And I turned them all on. I plugged them all in and turned them on to try to find my City Folk save. Could not find it. I was like, oh, I guess I blew it away. And then I was just like sitting upstairs after going through like an hour and a half of this. And I realized I moved my Wii over to my Wii U because you can do that like Wii port thing on the Wii U. So like I run downstairs, plug in my Wii U, and sure enough, like there's my City Folk save on my Wii U because it got pushed over with everything else. So that was exciting. Yeah, and it was a good game. I didn't like the hook of the city. I didn't love it. It wasn't anything that I thought really had to be there. It certainly got eclipsed by New Horizons for me pretty easy. So
yeah.
Did you use
it doesn't sound too
We Speak? Or
We Speak, yeah.
Called?
Oh, I bought We Speak. I was so lame. I bought We Speak, and like I tried to go on the Facebook site, and the one time I actually found on like a Facebook site to use We Speak, because I didn't have any friends who had it. There was no Discord at the time, to be like, hey, who's playing this game? So I went on a Facebook group that was playing it, and I don't know, like half of them didn't have it. The one time I did actually get to use it, it was like, I mean, at this point. It came out in 2005? Is that when did it come out? 2008.
2008, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it came out in 2008. So at this point, I am like past college, and like I'm like, do you want to play? Oh, sure, I'll play. And like I get on with this, and it sounds like this kid's like 5, and so I'm like, great. I'm like this grown adult playing with this 5-year-old. Like some parent's gonna come in and be like, who are you talking to? And why is this perverted man?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm done. So yeah, I did have We Speak. I bought it specifically for this game, and I don't think I ever really used it past that one like unfortunate event.
Yeah, I own a copy of this game now that has the We Speak, like that came with it. And I never played I've played the game. I just own it. I got it later in life. And the Wii, I haven't even plugged up the We Speak. I don't even know if you can still use it.
Yeah, I have no idea whatsoever. Nobody's probably there, even if you can use it. So nobody was there
online,
before.
If there's anything online, it's shut down. Shut down by now.
I didn't know if it. Yeah, I'm sure it used the online, but it was probably really bad.
Yeah.
So I have not played this. I did play a lot of New Leaf, which came out after. And in New Leaf, they kind of took the city idea and incorporated it a lot more into your like town. So you don't have to get on a bus, you just go through the gate and you're in the town area, and that's where a lot of the things are. So your villagers kind of go back and forth, like they'll be in your town, and then they'll go up and they'll hang out in the city, then they'll come back. Which I feel like was like the evolution of that idea, like really fully realized. So that's the closest like I can in my head sort of relate to that experience. I'm gonna have to fire it up one of these days once I'm less burned on Animal Crossing already. Burned out, not burned. I still love Animal Crossing.
Something I've always thought about since we're talking about Animal Crossing, and I have a host from the Animal Crossing Dads podcast. Since New Horizons is about camping, and then they have the mobile game. What's it? Is it Pocket Camp?
Pocket Camp, yeah.
And we had such a long lull while waiting for New Horizons. Which game do you think actually got developed first, since they're kind of using the same ideas? Do you think New Horizons existed in form before Pocket Camp, and that's the reason why Pocket Camp went in the direction of camping, the way it did? Or do you think that Pocket Camp existed first as an idea, and they were like, well, we're going to build off this idea and make New Horizons?
No, I think New Horizons has been in... I think if the Wii U wouldn't have sucked, you would have seen. I mean, and not that the Wii U sucks. Let me back up. It's a great console, but in sales sucked.
Right.
I think we would have seen New Horizons show up on the Wii U. I think this idea has been in play for quite a while, and they knew that us Animal Crossing fans were like chomping at the bit for something. So they pushed out this mobile game for two reasons. One, to help us have something to do Animal Crossing-ish while we waited for New Horizons, and two, to kind of, I think, get the base acclimated to this camping idea. Because I think you had to know, we're going in a whole different, not a whole different, but quite a different view, especially with the crafting and everything. And so, because Pocket Camp's all about crafting,
yep.
And I think they knew that the base would gravitate towards this game that plays Animal Crossing, and they wanted them to be able to say, oh, okay, New Horizons is crafting. I did that in Pocket Camp. I'd much rather do it in an actual game that looks beautiful. So sure, okay, it'll be all right. I think that's why Pocket Camp existed. So yeah, no, New Horizons, the idea existed first. I'm pretty sure of that. And then Pocket Camp was there to get us over the lull and to get us acclimated to crafting.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Sounds like a good logic behind that.
Yeah.
And to me, the Pocket Camp is really it's the only Nintendo mobile game I can really think of that kind of achieved the goal that they were looking for when getting into mobile, where they put out a mobile version of a franchise that we all know and love, and it draws you towards that franchise on console. I can't really think of anything else that really played out that way, because that's how they kind of sold mobile when they first got in. They're like, hey, we're going to use these as micro experiences to get you to want to go buy the real deal on a console and pay $60.
Fire Emblem did that a little bit. Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah,
it's their most successful mobile game by a long shot.
I think, to me though, Fire Emblem, what is it, Heroes? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel the same. Like it's definitely, it's not like any other Fire Emblem game they have on console. I feel Pocket Camp is probably closer to real Animal Crossing is.
That's true.
Fire Emblem Heroes feels more like just a collection game. Like you're just collecting the fighters, the characters of all the franchise. And the story's not as compelling as Fire Emblem tends to be. It's kind of loosely put together to get you to buy characters. Pocket Camp, though, a lot of the same things are there. It's just on a cell phone, and it's limited. You can't have the character do as many things as you can on a console, but still the same basic concept. I can see people playing Pocket Camp and being like, I want to play an Animal Crossing game with a controller. I want to play on a console.
No, I tell people that all the time. I'm like, do you play Pocket Camp? Yes. I was like, well then, trust me, you will love Animal Crossing on a console. Because if you get anything out of Pocket Camp, then what you'll get out of New Horizons will be 100 times more, because it just allows you to do so much more. So yeah, you'll enjoy it. And you're right. It gives you a taste of it. And then when you get to the console, you get to see what it's really all about.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into the next. Nick, thanks for being on and chatting with us about it. We wouldn't have been able to talk about it at all if not for you. So thanks.
Hey, man.
And anybody
I love
listening,
myself some Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Anybody listening to this podcast who hasn't already checked out Dad Crossing, I know for a fact, because I used to be on it, it is a load of fun. Y'all do a great job still kicking butt over there, talking about Animal Crossing, and also just about being a gamer dad, which is the other half of your equation on your podcast.
Yep.
So go find them, check them out, part of the Nintendo Dads family. Some really great stuff. We are bumping up against our time limit. So, John, do you want to talk super fast about Uncharted Drake's Fortune, which came out 13 years ago today?
Yeah,
2007. Yep.
I was going to ask, and
then I have
if
one community question.
Had played it.
Nope.
Because I threw this game on there, and I kind of feel like 13 years puts this game as a retro game.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3, that's 2 consoles back now. This game is, I remember I didn't own a PlayStation 3 in 2007. I was living in a house with a bunch of buddies, and one of them had a PlayStation 3. And I remember most of the time we played Rock Band or something on it, nothing of this sort. And somebody had randomly left a copy of Uncharted 3 at our house and popped it in, and I played a little bit of it, and I was like, this game is amazing. Like, nice. I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, it was one of those nice surprises, just so played quite a bit of it there and never finished it. But later I got a PlayStation 3 and I bought the Uncharted 3 version of the PlayStation 3, the one that came with it. And it also came with, I think, no. I did buy that PlayStation 3. That's not where I fully played this game. I bought my PlayStation 4 that came with the Uncharted collection, had 1, 2, and 3 in it when I bought it. And so I went and I played 1 and 2 because I only played 3 all the way through because I bought the PlayStation 3 that came with it. So then I went back and played 1 and 2 and just realized, how much of an accomplishment Naughty Dog had in this game. Like, it was something. The story is phenomenal. You feel like you're playing an Indiana Jones movie the whole time you're playing it. And going back and playing the first one, the controls feel a little awkward if you've played the newer ones. It's probably the hardest one to go direct back to from any of the newer ones, but it's still an amazing game. It's definitely worth a check out. And if you're not familiar with the Uncharted series, it's definitely one I could say go play if you haven't played it. I mean, I know.
Awesome.
Well, Nick got an Xbox. Never mind.
Yeah, it's exclusive to Sony.
Well,
so.
Never mind. You screwed it up already.
Yeah.
Wrong console.
Awesome. Yeah, I have heard nothing but good things about that series, except for 1 or 2 of the game. I don't know. But awesome. Great. Well, before we duck out of here, we have one community question I want to make sure we hit. And it is from Nomad in our Discord with a 3 in place of the A. So it's Nom3D. That's his name. It's great. He asks, hey, completely random question, but was wondering if there's any way to play NES games with other people remotely. Like if you could add an online component to classic games. I think that would be so cool. And we gave him a few answers in the Discord, like Nintendo Switch Online, NES, and SNES lets you play online with friends. I have a few other answers here with a disclaimer, which is that if you have a ROM for a game, just make sure you own the physical game. And this is your backup. That's all I'll say about that. If you go to nes.party, that's a URL.
Yeah.
That is a service that lets you upload your ROMs and create a room online for you and your friends to play in a web browser. So that sounds really cool. I'm going to have to actually try that out at some point because that sounds killer. The next one is a plugin called Kaillera, KAILLERA.com. That's a plugin for your existing emulators on your PC that allows you to create rooms and play online with friends. And then my final recommendation is an app for Android called MultiNES GP. And you use your own ROMs on your Android device, and it kind of creates an online room and service, and that's only for Android. Do you guys have any other recommendations for playing retro games online with friends? I think that's pretty much all of them.
Yeah, you could buy that one NES cartridge with the Wi-Fi chip in it.
That's right. I forget what game that is. It's like
what is this? I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's a new game. No, it's a new game. They were on Kickstarter, and it is kind of like Smash Brothers. And it plays on your original Nintendo, but they put a Wi-Fi chip in the cartridge so you can play online on your NES. It's bonkers.
Nuts.
Yeah, it is.
That is crazy.
I'm gonna drop all those links in the description for the show if you guys want to check those out, because they all sound really cool to me.
So I have a question. The one you talked about, the first one where you upload it to the room and, and everybody can play, does everybody have to upload a ROM, or can it just be one person? Because that would be really...
I don't know.
I almost think it'd have to be the same ROM. Like maybe one person uploads their ROM and everyone else downloads the portions of it they need to play the game.
Yeah, like it seems like it's all cloud-based.
So
I would imagine it's just the one person starting the room has the ROM, and then you all just feed off of that because it's all in the cloud.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That is really cool.
I've not heard of that.
We're gonna have to try that out at some point, John, and see how well that works, and give ourselves a full review of that. But that being said, I want to thank Nick Metzger for jumping on, talking some Animal Crossing, doing a great job, breaking some records here today on The Price is Retro. Again, go check out Dad Crossing, the podcast. Also them on Twitter, at @NDadCrossing. Anything else going on, Nick, you want to tell the people about?
No, man, just thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm having time talking about Animal Crossing and a bunch of other stuff. So appreciate it.
Good. Well, thanks for listening to Retro Logic, the official podcast of Blockfort Retro. If you like what you hear, you can follow me on Twitter at Blockfort Retro. And we are also on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. So go check us out and give us a follow if you like what you see. If you have any questions or you want to share your pictures of your collection with me, please do that on Twitter at Blockfort Retro. I'd love to see it, love to interact with you guys. So just keep the fun rolling. We also have a Discord that's awesome. If you want access to that, hit me up on Twitter and I'll make sure you get a link. And that's where almost all of our community questions come from. We're also just chatting in there about retro stuff all the time. Just what we're playing, what we're doing, just life in general. It's super fun. So keep the fun rolling, and thanks for listening, and we will see y'all next week.
Yep, see you on the next one.